I am just getting set up, and we've got a weird setup now. I look like I'm going to be singing in the mic to you all, but I'm not. I've just got to flick this ready for when we head over to do our acrylic paint that we're going to do. And I am going to attempt to show you my version of how I break down an ocean piece with acrylics or oils. Principles are the same. The difference between acrylic and oils is the wait time. And I'm speaking into my mic now, people. Paula, as always, you are here. Before I start doing reveal, I am going to just wait for a few more people to log in. Hello, Yorkie Mum. So happy Sunday also, and happy Father's Day to people out there as I talk into my microphone for you all. It really does feel like I'm talking into my I don't know why I went into Elvis yet again there. Hello, Cosmic Carol. Now, if you want to attempt to paint along with me, do it. You might miss out on chat. You might just want to understand my principle. You might find this is boring for you and you don't want to see this part. You only want to see resin. So if you don't enjoy seeing acrylics, on your bike. But hopefully you will learn my thoughts when I'm going through. Colours you'll need. I'm only going to be working on this tiny little board. Whatever colours you've got, just work with it. But there's going to be some blues, some yellows, all that kind of thing. But I'll go through the content as we start. But I'm just going to wait to see how many more people we get here. I have had a nice day. I was at work. I'm still talking into my mic. I've had a nice day, thank you, people. I was at work today. Hello, Stacey. I hope that everybody else in here has had a lovely day as well. Oh, you had 2 pages open. I was repeating. How's that go for you? So the main part of tonight is going to be acrylics, and we're going to go through this at real time. If it ends up being a very long one, we can do it in 2 halves. The first half will be painting in your back scenes and mapping out your colour composition, and then the next part is painting in those waves and bringing them alive. So I am looking forward to it. Who was with me last night? I think most of you were. I'm going to reveal 2 moulds. When I worked on these and there was some resin left over, oh, my cup's stuck to the bottom, I poured them into some containers, which are these ones here, and we're going to demold these. I'm going to demold these, and then I'm going to demold the other one that we did last night. The stand is still waiting to cure. I'm not going to remove that out of the mould because I want to add a top up of colour, and I think that's it for tonight. So we're staying away from resin other than the demoulding. I'm going to start to get these up. Hello, Tatty. Is it Tatty? Tatty? It doesn't matter about being caught up with life. Life is more important, and as long as you watch me at some stage, that is okay. So we have Cheryl who's coming in here. Yes, wonderful. And I'm just going to demold these and see what we've got. I don't know if it's going to make anything pretty because it was left over. This microphone's really in my way. Let me move that out of the way. I've just got it set up. I'm going to have a little look to see. I've used this one for Jesmonite before, but I've not used it for resin. So I'm curious to know what is it going to look like. I really don't like it when they come out dull, and this has come out dull. So they're nothing to write home about. The pattern's lovely in the bowl. I've got to sand off those rough edges. It's like a little mini plant pot sort of succulent. You can see through it, but it's not shiny, and I like it shiny. So I think this mould is definitely a mould that you would use for Jesmonite. I know that there's some spray or polish I can put on, so I'm imagining the second one's going to be pretty similar. But I do like the detail on the mould. I do like the pattern as well. Oh wow. It will come out. Oh, whew, that was relaxing. Paula, I promised to clean my mould. I just need to get that bit of resin out of there. It's bugging me. No, Jesmonite didn't make it unshiny. It's just a dull mould. It was, I bought it for concrete, but a lot of people ask what will they look like with resin. This is the one that I struggled to get my Jesmonite out because it was quite thick. It's like giving birth to it. So 2 pretty little succulent plant pots, but not shiny and dull, but we can go through and we can make them shiny. There's no issues with that, but I wanted to show you that pattern there. This is the one from last night. This is the one that we had leftover copper, and so we're going to remove it from this mould and have a look at the pattern on that. This is the one where I'm not convinced that that's got a air bubble that's trapped there. Yeah, I can put a clear coat on there. It looks like a bottle holder. Bottle holder? I meant bottle nipple? No. Yeah. You call them bottle nipples for the teat. You call it a teat, wouldn't you, for a bottle? What was that? So we had everybody else that's in here, welcome. Let's see what, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the end out of this. If this is solid at the end, I'll be surprised. It looked like there was a massive air bubble in there, and there's like a little knob at the end, but nothing in the middle. I'm struggling to get it out. It's got a little bit of suction in there. Oh, I'm stretching it. Alright, no, it did. It is straight as well, isn't it? So that's the lid. It's got a lot of pretty pattern on there. So if you had detail and you put the colours in there that you wanted, let's make sure that's central and I've not moved my knob. And that's the underneath. So that's the copper. I like that lid. That's pretty. Have a great... Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to remove this out of the mould. It looks like it's still soft, my resin, so I might misshape it. Oh. I'm tempted to leave it, but I really wanted to show you. What about if I gently do it? I'm going to ruin it, aren't I? It looks like it's a good pot. Oh. Is the knob a final? Yes, the knob's for this. This is a reveal. I'm just not convinced I'm going to be able to get this mould out of here without distorting it, because the resin looks a little bit movementy still. And I really want to show this pot. I'm going for it. No, I really am moving my mop. Mama. Look at that, I'm rolling it back into shape. Rolling it back into shape. Yeah, it won't come out shiny, it's definitely not. I'm determined to show you this mould. Even if I have to break it in half, it's coming out. Oh, oh. Oh, oh dear. Oh, we got there. It's really weird. We just roll it back into shape. That is a pretty little pot. So look at the detail on that. I've just got to get that little bit of edge off there. But that, yeah, that is a beautiful little urn. It's got weird little bits in the middle, but the pattern on that's lovely. And even though it's just copper, it's not too bad, because you might not be able to see it here, but you've got in this nice little shine in there everywhere. So I reckon I could go around with my gold pen on the bits that's raised and just make that better. Anyway, I got it out there. I had to roll it back into shape, but I got it out there. That was a really nice one, wasn't it? So I just got to get that sanded. Make sure that's as round as possible, just roll it. But that fits beautifully. I'm very happy with that one. Oh, there's my coat gone. Right, leave that there. Not as impressed with the other two, but the mould itself is okay. It's just the colour I don't like. Stick them in there, put them to sleep. I think they're the only things to reveal. Yep, they are. So I think we are going to get on with our acrylic painting now. Now I know that this is not for everybody. I'm just trying to mix it up with the lives, give my lungs a little rest from the resin, and also hopefully you'll enjoy it and you've got an opportunity to ask questions where we are. So I put my resin down at 9 AM and I moulded at 7 PM, so I was pleased with them. Very nice. I've made a laptop stand and another pot with lid. Very nice. What's everybody else been up to? Alright, I am going to, I said alrighty, I'm going to take you out of that stand now and we're going to move it over and you're going to start to watch my process that I go through. I'll do my best to talk out loud. There are some principles you can follow and there's some that you can just evolve as we go. So yeah, mowing and watering the lawn. Is that what you've been up to or is that what you can hear? Alright, let me flip you around. And it's going to shake a little bit until it settles in this stand. I apologise. But I am going to try and make sure you get hopefully a good view of the stand. You might get a little bit of my chicken wings in here because of the angle. Apologies. Now to the right, you can see I've got my reference photo or picture, the one I did before. That's just to help guide me because I'm doing a tutorial. It's just going to keep me focused. So we're going to break down how I completed this before and hopefully you'll find that interesting. There is a guy on the internet, if you've not heard of him before, called Mark Waller. He's Australian and he's got a channel called Explore Acrylics or Exploring Acrylics. He'd definitely be somebody I'd recommend that you have a little look at. He breaks down some of these principles a lot better than I do. And he is somebody that you can paint along with. You can also download a recipe from him for all the different shades that he used. So have a little look at that. I will keep checking my laptop, which is just at the side of me, for what people are going to be saying. But in the meantime, what are some of the colours we're going to be using? You are going to need a white. So use any white you've got around you. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be doing anything fancy. I'm not going to be adding any like retarders or anything to make it dry longer. Longer? Does that even make sense? Yeah, it's not going to dry instantly like acrylic. So you're going to need a white. You're going to need 2 yellows. So we've got a cadmium light and a cadmium middle. So the cadmium light is what we will add into our oceans. And the yellow is what's going to be outside of the water for our sand area. It doesn't matter if you have those exact same colours, but look for a light yellow and look for a medium yellow. Doesn't matter what brands you've got. I'm also torn between my blues. I use, depending on how I'm feeling and how it goes in the canvas, it'll chop and change. So there'll be a phthalo blue and there'll be most likely a ultramarine blue, so these two. But for my sky, sometimes I use the cobalt. You could use the ultramarine for the sky as well, but it just depends where I'm feeling. And I sometimes have a lighter blue just in case. Once I choose and settle on a colour, I'll just use one and add water and dilute it down. But you do need some blues. And you're going to need a purple. I've got a dioxine purple. And I've also got a burnt umber. And I'm going to need a red. So a tiny little bit of red for the sky as well. Because that's what helps create that haze. And you don't normally see it when you're looking at it. But a red gives you that beautiful little haze across the horizon. So all we're going to do is map out where our sky is going to be in horizon. I'm going to bring my horizon further down in the piece I'm working, because I want the waves to have a bigger section, and then we're going to come through into the sand. So I am now just going to get my red, because I realised I forgot to get that out. So amuse yourself, people, while I get my red. All right. And you literally only do need a blob. Now I'm not going to pretend to tell you which brush I'm going to use ahead of time. It all depends on your canvas. So I always have a stash of brushes nearby. And because it's a fairly small canvas, majority of it I feel I could paint in this size 4 brush. Just so that I can get those blendings right. When you get to the detail, I might come in a little bit smaller with a 1. But it really just depends on the canvas and the size of the waves I want to create. To paint this quicker, you could use a bigger brush, and I might do that for the blending part to start with, but I'm not going to pretend to be a professional artist when it comes to paintbrushes and what size you should use for what. I just go with intuition, what feels right for the time, and how I feel I'm going to bond and connect with it. The board I'm using is just a Monart canvas. I hope you can see that. And it is just a 10 by 12. It's one that is supposed to be primed already. It's got a little bit of dirt on there. That's just from when I used it on top of a resin piece, but it's not going to be anything that's going to, I don't think, devalue this piece. I might add some clouds in this one. I might not. We're going to see how we go. And again, if I go on for a long period of time, I think what we will do is come back to it maybe tomorrow if we don't get it done. I'm just going to have a little look. So yeah, I think for mapping out my colour, I'm going to start with a 10. I'm going to keep my 4 out as well, because I would imagine that's going to be majority of it. Now don't worry about if you have to use the masking tape. If you're not going to be able to get your, I'm going to flip this around so that that's in my sky. If you're not going to get your horizon exactly how you want it, don't stress, use masking tape. You could go in there with some paint and work out your composition. But I think that I'm going to have my skyline, I reckon, there. And then it looks, and then I'm going to try and have maybe my ocean there. This is just to help me. You can do it with paint. Normally I don't do this, but I'm just trying to help people understand some of the things you can do. I might actually go a bit higher here, because I want my ocean to be maybe the hero of it. Yeah, I reckon there. We can tweak it if we're happy. So are we all good so far? Are you all on this train with me? And you're willing to work through this with me? So welcome anybody that's joining us. Don't worry if you can't stay. I know that it's Father's Day. I know that you've all got commitments. Time is important. So feel free to watch the little bits after. What am I trying to say? Alright, I'm going to start by putting a little bit of the ultramarine, and I'm going to see if I can use as little blues as possible so that we're only using a few colours. And I'm going to add some white. Now you might not see me mixing the colours, I apologise. I'll try and bring it up into the screen. I'm just telling you what I'm doing to start with, and I'm now trying to fight with this. It's not been opened. Oops, knocked the camera, sorry. With my white, it's all taped up because it's not been used yet. So we're popping open our paint. I'm going to add, ooh, you're still jumping around, I apologise for that. A little bit of white. And then I am going to get my red out, because if we're going to do the horizon, that's what's going to give us that smoky effect. Now that's too much red on there, but that's how much came out. So here you can just see. So I'm going to start with the white and a dab of blue. I'm going to put it in there. It's going to look like it's quite strong to start with, or should I say weak, but when you put it in, it's not. That's out of camera. Tiny little bit of red, like it's just kissing it. Maybe take some of that off and add that there. And you get almost this grey kind of colour. And to me, That's what makes a nice haze. And what we're going to do is put that down at the line of the horizon, and then we're going to work up and graduate it and get that darker into what's hopefully a nice sky. Now, I'm about to sneeze. I apologise. I'm going to walk away, and I'm trying my best not to sneeze at the minute. Woo, woo. So let's start putting that on there. Now, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see that. Now, if you think that it starts to look a little bit purple or red, because you don't want it to be red to the eye, but we are going to start to add a little bit more blue in there. Oh, I've got a hair in there. My brush is molting just like me. You can add water if you want to make it travel a little more, and you can always do 2 coats with acrylics if you want to add a little bit more depth, because even though you do layer with acrylics, you do get some of those colours coming through. Add a little bit more white to that. And I'm going to start, gosh, my brushes are molting. I'm going to start adding a tiny little bit more blue into this and slowly work our way up until we start to get a nice blue. So that's going to start to remove some of that red or that hazy, and we'll start blending it and transitioning it up. I've got a door that keeps banging, I do apologise. And you're just going to go backwards and forwards and trying to blend it in a little bit to the layer below. This is where sometimes if you do have those things that extend the working life of your acrylics, and I do it zigzaggy because you want it to not be a harsh line there, but you do want them to blend. Quite dry, this canvas. It's a very thirsty canvas. I'm adding just a tiny little bit of water just to get that blending, and my brush is molting again. Sounds like Eurovision Song Contest, doesn't it? Malta. So apologies if I just lose myself in this. I'll try my best to talk out loud. Just adding a little bit more blue into that. Trying to get a bit deeper. It's my first time working with this particular brand, so I'm trying to understand how thirsty it gets. Oh, just knocked the camera again there. And I don't know if you can see there, but we're slowly gradiating up to the clouds, and we want it to almost be, if I lose any more hairs, I tell you, it must be molting seasons for my brush. Just hoping that it's going to cover that resin up that I've got there. Now, when I usually put my acrylics on, I do them in fast forward just so that I don't know if people enjoy seeing the full process, because there's far more proficient artists out there that have channels for such as this. I'd love to know which acrylic or oil painting artists do you enjoy watching. Just adding a tiny little bit of wet to my brush just to try and blend these through. Now, if I notice that I lose a lot of my haze, I'll come back and I'll add that again. But I am trying to. I've lost a little bit there, bringing it back through. I've lost a little bit there, so I'm just going to add that back again. And then just bring it up into the blue. And I can always add more blue again. And this is where, if you do it quite zigzaggy, one, you're not going to get those harsh lines left in your painting when you come over it. But two, it's going to add some natural effects to your sky. And hopefully, if I keep getting brushes, I'm just going to have to pull all these hairs out. Oh. You really don't want to have to watch me pulling hairs out. So another, you can definitely see, I'm going to have to put a cloud there, you can see it. Another thing for you to consider, I'm just going to have to add some more blue to my pad. Ooh. Is, what am I talking about, Sharon? There we go. the clouds and how you want it to go. So we're starting to get more of a blue here, but it's still kind of muted. But if you start to drag it down, you should start to get different feelings, and you work out, do you want to have clouds in your sky? Do you not? I'm going to go there so it's even bluer there. I'm going to have to stop and see what's going on with chat. So how are you? Yeah, more expensive ones don't lose hair, but these were quite expensive. I think it depends, really. This canvas board as well, because it's quite harsh, is causing a few issues, but not a lot. And I'm just going to go backwards and forwards until I'm happy with my sky. Got a little bit of cloud coming through there, and I'm definitely going to have to dilute this area here. And this is why I think I fast forward these videos, because it might look like you do it really quick, but you don't. I might keep stopping every so often and see what's going on with chat. Make sure everybody's okay. How is everybody? You doing okay? How do I clean them? If I'm using oil paints, I clean it with baby oil to start with, and then you wash them with soapy water. With acrylics, it is water and then a little bit of soapy water and reshape them. Sorry, oh, I added a bit too much red in there. So I am now just trying to get my blue back in there. I think this is sometimes why I enjoy going over my sky a few times, and then you sort of zigzag, let your sky tell you what it wants to be. I know that that's really silly, but you might start to see natural clouds come in and just work with it. So I'm just doing this just to try and blend it through again. But I am getting some of that pink up there. So I'm going to need some blue to come through now. Bear with me while I keep topping up. How y'all feeling? You were told to use olive oil and dish soap. What was that for acrylics or for oils? Olive oil will be pretty much like any oil, it shapes it. So I'm just trying to work on my tones here to understand what sort of colour I'm wanting. I keep rotating between the two different blues until I get a colour I'm happy with. This is when I could definitely have you in my ear, Paula, so you can tell me what's going on with chat. This is kind of, I'd say this is the boring part, but it's not really boring. This is the part where you map out your image and you think, well, looks a bit boring at the minute, but then it all starts to pop. Now I've gone for a different colour sky to this one, if you have a look there. And I'm just going to get, is my camera shaking when I'm brushing? Alright, I'm going to try and just bring almost the pure colour through in the corners. Now one of the tricks for the eye, if you don't already know this, is if you have the darker colours just towards the edge and bring them down, it helps draw your eye into the centre of the image. Try it on your paintings if you've not already and see what you think. I'm happy with how it's shaping up. A lot of gaps in there still. So tone that down. Pesky little brush again. I think we're going to have to invest in some very expensive brushes at this stage. trying to get some whispering things happening in my sky. The oil is supposed to keep them together and soft. Clouds are difficult. Yeah, I think they can be. I think it just depends on what you're wanting to do with your clouds. Sometimes less is more. Just got to come back with a little bit of that cloudy thing there. Getting more to my horizon line there. I will have to let this dry before we come back and do clouds. But we can, oh, far out, those hairs. It's a molting brush. I think that's going to be my thing tonight, people, for Bingo Lingo. Oh my. But stand back often when you're doing your work and look at it with fresh eyes and see how you feel we're going. Now I'm definitely getting that haze there. We don't want too much, she says. I think I can see that there's a lot of stupid whiteness there, so I'm just going to work on this a little bit. These canvas boards are nice, but you can tell they're cheap. I should have got one of my nice luxury canvases out, is all I'm saying. I don't know if you can see there, what I'm trying to do is just put a suggestion of where some clouds will be. I might change my mind, but I want some sort of whispery ones. Just there at the ocean. I don't know if you can see where I'm doing there. Just trying to give you, sounds like a stormy, is it stormy or, I don't know, a typical day in Yorkshire, England. Let me have a little look here. I think I want, maybe. So we can finish these clouds later. It's just, I'm just trying to understand where do I feel I want them to be. Alright, I think I will go there with the, I'm going to leave the clouds for now and the sky, but I've got an idea of where we feel that they're going to be. And I quite like some of the thin bits, and they're not really bright. There's almost like a very light blue, and then they almost disappear into nothing there. And we can come back and we can work on that sky later. What I am going to do is let that dry. Who's got a joke in tonight? My neighbour went to the beach. So for her birthday, I'm going to paint her a picture of the ocean beach. Beautiful. Clouds are difficult. I don't know if that helped you with the clouds there, or if you can actually see clouds or not. A garden fence this week. Let me just shut this door that keeps banging. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to focus on the horizon line, and it's going to be roughly the same as the sky, but what I am going to do is add a little bit of phthalo blue and a little bit of ultramarine blue together. So we're going to go for a similar kind of colour to this, and we're going to work down because we don't want it to be too different to the sky for the horizon. And we've got to remember that the Earth's round, so it's not going to be too harsh. You can wait for this to fully dry and then you can put your masking tape over. I'm just going to paint it in for now. However, if I don't get a straight line, what I'll do is when the sky's dry is come back and tape that and then go over it. Hello, Gail. I hope that you're well. Anybody else that's joining or watching, welcome. I know we're doing something different tonight than we've been doing, which is resin and jesmonite, but I have been requested to show a little bit of my thoughts behind this. By no means am I the most proficient acrylic artist out there, but I do enjoy painting. I do enjoy the results and the satisfaction you get from it. And also, yeah, just to tell you some of the principles I worked with to hopefully encourage you to do that and have fun. It's your world. This is not going to be photorealism. This is going to be us just trying to show you how to capture a little bit of essence of, I don't know, something you enjoy on canvas. Don't know what I'm trying to say, hey? So it's very similar. I might have to go a little bit darker to what's already on there. Hello, Zeus. Are you coming to join me? Hello, sweetheart. Are you here? I'm kind of like similar to the clouds, but not the clouds, the sky, but a little bit more bolder. And then we can always smudge it out a little bit if we want it to go into the background. So I hope you're okay. Oh, thank you, Kim. I hope you're going to enjoy this. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this. I hope you don't get my chicken wings in here too much. You're trying to make it as straight as possible where you can, because if you can get this part right to start with, it's going to save you a whole world. Oh, I'd say a whole world of pain, but it's not really. And then what we do is we make this a little bit harsher, or should I say change to more of a sea colour, closer up, but we're just trying to get the horizon to join up. If I was really, really brave, I'd just do it in one or two strokes, but I don't want to really mess up with you all on camera. I'll stand back soon and see if it looks straight and to see if these tones look right before we start to break up the composition to the ocean colours and the sand, and then we get to have fun by coming back and actually bringing our waves in. Alrighty, here she goes. Alrighty. As always, we want to share the love on this channel. We've got a beautiful community of people that turn up and chat, because these lives are not necessarily for purely just the art. It's about that art community. So if you do have a channel, your own art channel, you want people to go and have a look at your work, put a little thumbs up at the side of your name, and then maybe you might get some people that are going to pop over there and visit you. Share the love, because there's enough platform on YouTube for us all to share that love. So that horizon line is fairly straight. I'm quite happy with that. So we've got Lainey's Crafting Corner. She's got a channel. Oh, we've got, having said that, what do you call an Irish girl with no legs? Oh, Paula, thank you. That makes me so happy reading that. It does make me nervous, because I think you really put yourself out there when you show, I think, this style of art, or any kind of art really, on YouTube. Because you say we're not necessarily the best artist out there, but we are showing you our processes and what we do and any experiences that we've learnt. So yeah, it's nice to get that feedback, Paula. What we're going to do now is start bringing in the true ocean colours. Now when your ocean is further away, the colours are more muted, which is what we're trying to do here. Now to just blend this in a little bit more, to give you a little bit more of haze, I'm just wetting my brush. It's not super wet, but it's wet enough. And I'm just going to drag along in one line just to try and get this to maybe not be as harsh, but to bleed in with each other a little bit. Not bleed in, I'm just trying to stop the harshness of the line. And I'll come back, because it is not always an obvious harsh line. So that's quite nice. It's brought some of the colours up into the sky a little bit, but not a lot. I don't know if you can see what I've done there. Blending colours, it's just patience. Get your brush wet, not too wet, but you can that'll help them blend together. Remember to scruff or go zigzag, and just keep going until you're happy. Because if I look here, there are so many gaps in here, so I'll have to go back and touch this up. But at the minute I'm trying to get my composition, I'm trying to understand where I want my clouds to be, and you can always do another layer. Always do another layer. Daddy, you just looked up and saw the sky. We got a little bit more to do on it, but from a first layer point of view, that's how yeah, I enjoy it. I think the tip is the haze here. Tiny little bit of red in there, and you shouldn't really be able to see red, but if you are an artist that studies colours, you probably can. And then not being afraid to map out where they are. Loosely do your clouds. You want a little bit of darkness to come through here, because when we come back and then add the highlights of the white on the next layer, that's hopefully going to give you more 3D and depth. So what I'm going to do now is start to use my phthalo blue with a tiny little bit of white and bring that in here, so it's going to be a little bit darker. Now I need to make sure I am using my phthalo blue, which I am, and I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of white just to try and bring a little bit more of that darker, oh, I'm not even in there, a little bit of that darker colour through to the ocean. And we'll transition it through to green. I hope that's going to be, I think I need it a little bit harsher, but we'll see. And I'm not like a colour expert. I just do it until I am happy. And a lot of it with me is intuition, not training, not professional, just through trial and error and trying to understand what looks best on a canvas. So I watch a lot of people on YouTube and follow some of their lessons to help me push myself a little bit, or a lot of it is then interpreting it so that you're going to enjoy it. So that, just trying to make this, I don't know if you can see, but there is darker colours I'm now adding. I'll show you here, just to fade it back into where the horizon is a little bit, but leaving it so that you can see that little transition. So that's what I'm currently working on, and that is the phthalo with a tiny little bit of white in there, and then it will go slightly transitioning over into the greeny oceans that we love when we go on holidays and they have those beautiful crystal clear oceans. Hopefully, anyway, that's the intention. But this canvas is a very thirsty canvas. You can hear me scruffing the things, just trying to force the colours to go into the canvas board. I like that transition there. I don't know if it's coming through on here. I like that transition there. Is it focused? There we can see a little bit of the horizon line, and then it comes deeper. I hope that's Me not just waffling a lot, people. When was the last time you did an acrylic piece? I want to know. Yeah, I learned about the haze of Katie Jobling. Katie Jobling. She's another artist. I'd recommend that you go and look. I just love her art. She is so, I don't know, there's just a lot of positive energy in her art, and she offers a few step-by-step tutorials as well, and she's definitely something that I would recommend people to check out. I really do enjoy her work, and even I think that's because I'm not classically trained, should we say classically trained, that when you watch other artists and you get tips, it just really helps. And I sometimes follow through on their tutorials and give it a go, and I think that they do help me improve my own skills as well. Sharing the love. Alright, so we've got a little bit of movement and that happening in there, and now what I'm going to do is keep adding white to this as it's going to transition through to the shallower water now. I'm happy I've got enough distance in there. So we're going to start to, oh, that might be a little bit too much. So that's a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is just blend it left and forward. I've made a whole new word up. Left and forward. Left and right. Just to graduate that colour through there. And that helps with creating that sense of movement as well. And because that oil, the blue before it is slightly wet still, it's allowing you to drag it through, but also it helps create that sense of, I think, movement in the water is what I'm saying. Liking that so far. I don't know if you can see that there. Oh, so we're just transitioning that blue through there, and hopefully you can see that. And we're going to start to slowly change this over to the greeny tones, but I don't want it to go too harsh because I want this part here to really be almost the shoreline. You can tell that that canvas is drying now, the blue's behind it. But we can always bring a little bit of water into our brush, which is what I'm going to do now. Just try and blend those colours through a little bit. We get a little bit lighter now. At least my brush is behaving now. It's stopped molting so much after its initial molt. Hello, Zeus. You made a live. Welcome, Suzanne. Cleaning your studio so you can work. Do you know what? I had a little clean when I come home from work. It was very nice. I'm thinking that it's my monthly cleanse time where I've got to dust everything down. I really do believe that. Because I've been doing all these lives, I've turned into this dirty little person in my studio. And I think it's time that we reset it. Alright, we're going to now start to transition this. I'm just going to clean my brush out. Oh, stood on something sharp. I'm so sorry for people that's joining or watching behind the scenes. I am glancing over at chat every so often, but I am hoping that everybody's keeping themselves amused. So, Linda, first time on your channel to watch you paint. Very enjoyable. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. It's something a little different, isn't it? But thank you all so much. you go and get your kids. You are more than welcome to watch it on replay. I appreciate your time, and life is important. So as we're going through to the shallower water now, I'm going to start to add in a little bit of the cadmium yellow into this, and the light one. Put a little blob at the side, and I'm just going to go with it until I get a colour that I'm happy with. Again, I'm not scientific in this in any way. I'm going to add it until I'm happy, because we want to get almost like a green colour there, but we're going to keep playing with it until we're happy. Maybe a little bit darker to start with, and a little bit white, and I'm going to keep going until I get a colour that I enjoy as we start transitioning through to the water. And yeah, might look weird to start with, but as we add the waves and as we start to block it in, you should hopefully then start to get the illusion that this water is going to be nearer you. A little bit thirsty, that canvas again. And we're going to keep standing back and check that we are happy with those colours and we think that we've got the right tones. And as it gets nearer the front, we'll go slightly more yellow, where that sand is probably churning up in our imaginary world. Alright, so I'm just going to repeat that there. Standing back, just going to add a little bit of white on my brush here just to blend this through here. And we can always add a little bit more blue in there. So by dragging the brush diagonally, you start to bring some of that blue into that green, and vice versa, and it's not so bold, and then you start to get it more blended in that sense. I'll bring you in close now, let it focus for you, but you're starting to get that now graduating through there, and we're going to start to bring these colours through so they are truer and brighter. Again, that's a little bit of the phthalo, and again, I'm just doing it until I'm happy with it. And I should have really gone a little bit further down so we can start to see how it gets lighter as we go. A little bit of that cadmium yellow. That's definitely gone a bit too yellow now, so I'm going to add a little bit more blue in there. I get that green, a little bit more white. So it's definitely lighter than the one before. I don't know if you can see that on the palette. I'm going to keep going like that. I'm going to do this quite a bit down. And then I will check who's in chat, and thank you all so much for being here. Oh, I've got a fly, at least it's not a spider. And I'm just going to get my brush a little bit wet and then try and drag that through a little bit more so it's blending. And I'm just going to add more white to this now. White. Sorry, just had to stand back there because it's looking quite green, but I think when we add our foam and everything like that, it's going to be okay. I'm working with acrylics, and normally I work with oils for these. So I could add a little darker. Oh, I was going to say darker, but I never got my words out then, did I? A little bit more water to it. So because we want that to look like it's quite green, isn't it? I quite like it. Anyway, there we go. Have a little look at that. Now, you could always make your tones lighter if that's what you want to do. What we're going to do now is add some reflections of our sky now, but I just want to bring a little bit more of this. Here, a little bit more blue. I am going to then stop and have a little look what's happening in chat. I just wanted to get that blend in a little bit better. Okay, I'm happier with that now. So this is where we currently are. And what we're going to do now is start to bring in the reflection from the sky here. So it looks like that's very, very wet sand. So we've almost got to mix this colour again here and sort of blend that through. So what I am going to do is just... Oh, didn't mean to do that. That's not what you want to happen. Got a little bit of blue in there. So I am able to dilute that down. I'm just going to try and get this sort of semi-level, but not that it has to be straight when it's an ocean edge. I mean, who are we kidding? So our sky was the ultramarine. I need some more white. My canvas is getting really dirty now. I need no yellow in this at all because we're doing our sky. So I'm just going to put some fresh white out and then I'll show you. I might need a little bit of the ultramarine. I will be back with you all. I'm just going to show you what it is I'm doing. Phthalo blue. So this part looks weird to start with, but it does help when we start to put our sand in. So we are going now with a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of the phthalo, and we're going to come back with our white. And we're going to try and get as near as that sky colour as possible, just so it looks like it's reflecting into the wet sand area. So I think I need to be a little bit more. I'm not mixing that very well, am I? Let's have a little look. All right, so I'll see if I get the right colour here. And then we're going to blend that down into where the sun is reflecting. Come on, Sharon, you can do it. Where the sky is reflecting into the wet area that has just touched the... What am I trying to say, Sharon? This is the wet area where the wave has just crashed and the sand is very, very, very wet, is what I'm trying to say. Now it looks a little bit maybe dark, so I'm going to have to just work on the tones until I'm happy with them. Doesn't have to be straight. No water comes onto the beach straight. But I am going to tone this down a little bit. Looks a little bit strong for me. There we go. I add that through. I'm just adding a little white directly onto the canvas. Alrighty. Looks like it's a big wave that's just crashed there. And this is where, you know, if you get your composition wrong, you can always change it. You really can. But this is where I am going to remove that tape now, and I'm just going to create a sense of movement where that can be. So it's going to be this place here. Going to get you have to be able to see about 5 steps ahead of where it is that you're trying to do. So at the minute I'm just trying to think, where do I feel my ocean is going to end and meets the sand, and just working that through. I could have had this a little bit further forward, so if I feel like I want to change it I will later. But that's the wet area. I think I want to go a little bit lighter. It's only when I stood back. Hello, this is easier in resin. Is it, Julie? Okay, that makes sense. What we're doing now, Depends started doing a lot of lives at the minute, so keeping an eye on the community part and a channel. Oh, thank you for keeping an eye on that. Oh, you're going to try an ocean one, do it. Now I'm just lightening up this part here. It's still a little bit too dark for me. I think my sky's a little bit brighter than that, so I'm just working on it to lighten it up until I get the right tone. You can make this part as little as you want. You don't even have to do this part if you don't want to. I just think it's going to add a lot of value once we have this wave crashing in here and rolling onto this part here. Oh, still don't think I've got my colour right. Bear with me while I continue to work on this part here. Ah, I've got some yellow in there. I don't want to do that. So thank you all so much for joining me. Even if it's for 5 minutes, it really does help me and my channel, and I really value you being in here. I am currently just trying to work on my sky colour again, just so I can match that up and tone that nice. And I think I can't get my colour right. Oh. I am here behind the scenes, I promise you. I should have, if I'd have had oils, it would have been so much easier, because with oils, you can come back to it and work on it later. With acrylics, it dries. It dries so quick. Is that going to be? Let me check that. Okay. Just toning it back up a bit, trying to get that pigment coming through. And this is what you've got to be willing to do. Keep going backwards and forwards until you're happy. And chat a lot of crap while people are watching you, while you're pretending that you know what you're doing. Yeah, it's definitely not the same colour as that, but I'm going to leave it for now because we can tweak that. Hopefully it'll give you the illusion that it is the same colour. once we add all the magic to it. But I'm now just going to add a little bit more white in there. No, that's too white. See, I'm playing people. I keep playing. It's like, put the brush down, Sharon, and walk away from it. Because for what it's going to do, yeah. All right, I'm going to leave that part and we'll continue on. Johnny, thank you very much. That's very nice. I keep getting lots of people coming and then going, coming then going. The wet sand. It should really be a little bit that haze colour. Bear with me. I am going to go back. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. I'm going to try and create my haze colour. So I've got my white. I've got a dab of red. Not a lot. And then I'm going to come in with my ultramarine. I'm going to add a little bit more white. Come on, you can do it, Sharon. You can get the recipe for your sky. You can do this. She's talking to herself. Alright, it's not going to be the same colour as the sky, but it is more of the haze colour. Alright, final go, Sharon. I'm going to make my haze colour because I feel like that's going to reflect the sky best. And it's going to be more like the clouds will be reflecting in there as well, maybe. But it's a more muted colour rather than that bold colour that I had to start with. Alright, I feel happy with that colour. So I went more for this kind of hazy colour here, but I didn't add necessarily the red in there because I didn't want it to be too. And I'm just going over all the other areas now just to try and... Oh, didn't want to do that. Oh well, we can pretend that that's a cloud reflecting in that water at the front there. Now we're going to the damp sand, which is going to be the white, the purple and the cadmium medium yellow because that is out of water. The light yellow is for in the water, the medium is for out the water. I'm just getting every bit of yellow, or should I say the blues, out of my brush because you don't want to have blue in your sand colour. And we're going to try and make some sand colour. And we're going to go darker down to light, and that's where I can pull some of this back, but I've just got to make sure it doesn't touch too much. So I'm going to get a new palette, only because I really don't want the blue touching this. So we've got the dioxide purple. We're just going to have a little bit on there. And it's not going to come out because it's got its seal on there, Sharon. It's the first time I'm using this particular brand and colour, so just removing that out. I'm going to put one little squirt. Oh, that came out pretty big. My squirt was big. I'm going to get my medium yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of that to my palette. I can't do little. They seem to come out in big blobs. I will show it you in the camera very soon. And we're going to add white. And we're going to keep going until we get almost like a sandy colour. And again, I don't have any science to this. I'm not a colour expert, but we're going to work it until we get a consistency. You're going to love this, aren't you? Bit of purple there. And then we're going to add that yellow until we start to get our, oh, you didn't see that, sand colour. Now it will dry darker. Just going to keep going. You don't want it to be too purple, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. I don't want it to be too yellow either. I might add a little bit more purple to start with, just grabbing it literally on the corner of my brush there, the tiniest little bit, putting it in there, just because that darkens the sand down a little bit. Oh, that's a lot there. And you keep going until you get the balance that you want. I added a bit too much white in there, so I'm just trying to get it a little bit deeper, but I don't want it to go. And if I pull it down a little bit more here, we start to go lighter as the sand looks like it's getting nearer the shoreline. That's more or less the same colour there. So you can apply it onto your canvas, and if you're unhappy with that colour, you can start to go lighter, but roughly that is... Thank you, Johnny. But they're the sand colours I'm going to work with. I cannot always make them darker if not, but we'll start painting it in, and then we will adjust accordingly, and we can always do a second layer again if we're unhappy with it. I hope you're finding this entertaining, people. Let me know. Let me know if you are finding this interesting, learning a few different tips or techniques. Like I say, I'm not claiming to be the best acrylic artist out there. All I can do is share you the bits of knowledge that I have or enjoy painting with. It will dry a little bit darker. I feel like it should definitely be darker, but what I might do is paint it on, and then what we can do is always come back and do another layer. Actually, I've gone in already behind the... I've gone rogue, people. I'm making my sand darker. All right, now I'm happy. So I'm going to go back over with this sand. I ended up putting a dollop more of the purple in and added a little bit of yellow, no white, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So you might see a colour difference now. Perfect. So this is where the wet sand is now meeting the shoreline. So I want this part to be darker and graduating it back as it gets drier sand. And this is what I mean about you put it on your canvas, you have a look, I'm not happy with it, right, let's go back and blend it. You could add a different layer when it's dried, or you could go rogue like me and think, right, I'm going straight in there. And then it starts to suddenly, once we've got this part done, the fun part starts, which is bringing the waves in to your ocean, and it suddenly starts to pop. So if you're with me and you want me to carry on, once I've done this, I'll go back and start doing the waves. If you would like me to stop, we can do it tomorrow. I'm graduating my sand now, and we'll try and do some blending through. There we go, quickly blending it while it is still a little bit damp up there. We can always add our paintbrush to water if it's not moving. And we're just going to keep going until we're happy with that blending. So I can see lots of chat going. I've just not been able to see what that chat's about yet, so apologies. Paula, this is where I could really do with you in my ear, or one of the members reading out chat for me. I really need to get that part sorted. And then we're going to keep diluting this now until it gets to almost white. I hope you can see those gradating colours there. I'll bring it forward for you. Did I see Paula's thing come up saying that she's got big drawers? Hilarious. Oh, I miss out on so much fun, don't I? Now, I don't know if you ever knew to make sand colour that way. I'd be interested to know. And just adding white now to my existing colours. Just slowly getting it lighter and lighter and lighter towards the end. And then we will come back once it's dry for another layer and add a little bit more detail in there. Blend it a little bit through better. But you want it quite rustic, I think. Sand. I always say that if I'm trying to cover up for the sins that I have and then they accidentally work. Keep adding white to the existing colour that we've got until you get almost until it's almost white, but not quite. So I will stop very soon and check what's going on in chat to see whether you want me to pause it here or continue with some waves, or we can do the waves tomorrow. Alright, so we have our blocked out colours now. I'm going to stand back to check. Overall, I am happy with that. Maybe a little bit more white down in the sand here. Alright, I'm going to clean my brush out. Show you what we've done so far. So we have just mapped out our colour from our skyline to our Resin to where the waters get in nearer to us, to our wet sand area, and then through to our sand area here. So that's where we currently are at. Let me have a little look. So Cosmic Carol is going to stay here and she wants to see the waves. Wonderful. Question, can you explain why you make a brown rather than start brown and tone it to sand colour? Because sand's not really brown, if I'm being really honest. And your tones of browns, you could, but you'd have to add yellow into it and everything like that. With this, it's more of a beige. So you can mix your sand colour however you want to. This is just showing you how you can make it with any colours that you have there, which is purple, yellow and a bit of white. And then you can graduate the colours. When I've used it with solid browns before, it looks quite harsh and more clayey sand, like sand you'd get at Skeggy Beach rather than sand you'd get in Australia. So I think it really depends which one, what you want. So nothing's saying you can't do it, it's just a preference. And yeah, is everybody okay for me to continue on? Give me a thumbs up or a heart. Oh, I've missed some funny stuff. What, we got a hand mouth for? Oh, did I say something, or is there a joke that I've missed? All right, sorry, I shook my camera there. I'm just giving myself a clean out, and maybe we can start with the impression of waves. So I'm going to start to move to smaller brushes now, and I'm going to use a very, very diluted white, just so I can understand where I want my waves to be. And I'm probably going to have a little bit more space in it than I've got in this painting here. But that's where the fun's happening. Now I've just cleaned out my brushes so that they're good and whacked the other one. I'm going to work out what brush I think I want now for mapping out my waves. I reckon I'm going to go with this brush here. And again, oh, I need to just put my power cord in just a minute. I've run out of juice on my phone, so I've got to take it out my iPad and put it here. Paula said she's got big drawers. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so I've got this brush here, and I'm figuring because it's quite fine and angled, when I'm doing my waves, I might be able to get a nice little edge to start with, just where I'm mapping them in. It's a #1 brush. You don't have to use this, you can use whichever one you want. And it really is going to be, this is the fun, this is where each time it's slightly different. I'm just dipping my brush in water, adding a little bit of white. White's transparent, so I want it to be that way because I'm just trying to imagine where do I want my waves to be. So I'm gonna do it maybe, I'm gonna do one here, very thin line. And maybe one here. So I have no rhyme or reason in my head. I'm just trying to work with the colours that's there, and I am just trying to think, what would my composition be like? I want to leave more space than I did on that one. I did 4 waves. This time I want to do 3 waves. So I know that there's going to be a wave here, because this is where it's rolling into the wet area here. So that's where that wave's going to roll in there. And then I believe I'm going to have another one rolling in here. And I think I'm going to leave that one as a big one crashing in there. And I think that's all I want to do. And then there will obviously be a little bit here. Yeah. Right, I think that's, I don't know if you can see where I've done there. I'll bring you in. This is just me mopping them out. So I've gone here because I could do another one there, but I'm trying to think of how big do I want this wave. So this is going to be the one that's crashed in, and it's going to have all the foam running in. This is just a tiny little trail where there's the end. This one is maybe the big one, and then this is one that's just curving over. Now if I'm unhappy with it, I can raise it up a little bit, because I've only got a thin line there. So in theory I think I am going to raise this one up a little bit. I'm going to have the froth maybe starting here, and then all this will become a wave, and then there, and then it's dark, like dark there. I know what I'm talking in my mind. So have a little think about your composition. There's no right or reasons. You can just have fun with it. And what I'm going to do now is start to block in suggestions of the foam, and I'm going to leave enough space for the waves behind. And what I mean by that is I'm going to have some more diluted white on my brush, and we're going to start to just gently bring the brush along. I'm changing my brush now, and I'm going to go for, is that going to be too big for me? It might be a bit too big. Let's see if I've got one slightly thinner. I'm looking for a brush that's just the right size for me. You know what? No, this might work. Actually, I'm going to go for this one. Oh, the decisions of the brush. Eh? Behind the scenes, if you could see me just trolling through my brushes, having a little look. I think I'm going to go with this brush size. It's not got a brush number on there, unfortunately. It's Crafts for All. That's all it's got on there. I'm going to see how this one goes for me. If I don't feel it, oh, no, I'm not feeling it already. I'm putting that one away, people. I am putting that one away. And I'm going to come back with this one, which is a small round brush. But I need to get rid of all that red that's on there. I'm sure the professionals out there would tell you that you need to use this particular type of brush. I can't. It's got too much red in there. It won't come out. What's going on? I think I've ruined a lot of my brushes, people. A lot of my brushes. And I'm chuntering behind the scenes, I know. Alright, no. I'm going to go with this one. The number 4. So a little bit of white. It has got water within that white. It is transparent, so as you build it up over levels, it's going to work. So this one is the number 4 one. And I'm just going to start putting a suggestion. Now, all I'm going to do is move my hand. Let's need it a little bit more see-through than that. Just going to roughly move my hand around, and I'm doing it in little circles. And I am just starting to create where my foam's going to go. And you don't want it a solid colour at this stage. You're just starting to bring in that image of where that's going to go. And what I mean by that is we're basically whitewashing it in. And because you're seeing that little bit of blue behind it, it's giving you that sense of depth and movement. And we're just going to repeat that in all the areas where I feel there is going to be the main part of the froth. Now I've done this underline because that's where the froth's going to go to. So I'm just going to start to bring that down a little bit, add a little bit more water because I don't want it that thick white. So I'm going to have a big wave sort of coming in there. Alright, so that's giving you that sense of that wave there. And it blows my mind that you can just add a tiny little bit of diluted white there in a random pattern and it already starts to turn that into a wave or an ocean. I mean, it just, it blows my mind, people. You might look at it and think, well, it doesn't look great yet, but this is just the very early stages of starting to bring this alive. And with this one, again, my brush has gone like this. I'm not too bothered. I sort of twist it around. Work with whatever brush you enjoy. And we're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to start to, a bit more, too much water, too much white on there, so just diluting it. And I'm just going to, again, I'm moving in circular movements only because that's, in my head, what the waves are doing. They're churning over. You might choose to just do it in a little bit, but that's where that one is there. Sorry, I keep standing back, so you're going to get my voice sort of going. That's where that one is. So show you close up there. And those waves will build up over time. Don't stress. I'll keep saying that because I know people will start thinking I've got to draw a wave. Well, you're not at the minute. At the minute, you're just mapping out your colours and you're starting to make sure you're happy with the composition. And just remember, it's going to layer over time. Now this one here, I'm going to do the same thing, circular motions. Let your brush tell you where that wave needs to go. And this one's churning up a little bit here. So in my imagination, this one's a little bit too solid, my colour. Don't like it solid to start with. And we can definitely add more foam if we feel it needs it. Leave a little gap and then just join that up at the end because this is the one what I want to be fairly in my mind. It's going to be a little bit too much. A bit more water. I'm feeling that this is going to be a fairly the big one that's crashing. So that is wave number 2. So that one, hopefully we'll get that one to look like it's rolling over. This one is going to be wider and it's churning, ready to start to come over. And then this is the one where it's going to be crashing against the ocean. So I don't know if you can see that. All right. The front one that is really going to be foaming in here. A little bit more water on there. Sorry, I'm going into my zone then. I realised that I'd just stopped talking to you all. Please forgive me. As I work through this. Thank you all for the people that are diving in here and diving out and catching up. I appreciate you. Sorry, that's just going to be a little bit choppier there, I think. So we are currently like this, so that'll be the wash coming in. And then just around here, we're just going to give a suggestion again of where the water was there. This one I'm not going to necessarily froth it. Is that even a word? Froth it? Not a lot of foam. So we're just wanting to remember that the water had been there, and we'll work on this bit a little bit later. Sorry, I keep standing back. I know I keep apologising. I'm so typically British, aren't I? Standing back so that I can sort of see what it's looking like. And I still recommend, I know I keep talking about this, but keep standing back. Keep trying to gain different perspectives. I keep looking into my camera to the right now because I can see what you're seeing while I'm painting. And that helps gives you a perspective. But we will jazz this up. We're going to start to put little lines somewhere to make sure that it looks like it's got more depth and everything like that. I don't want to add too many lines in there at this point. So from a composition point of view, this is where we are currently at. So hopefully that's starting to look like an ocean now. And you're starting to see different benefits of some of this layering that we're doing. What I'm going to do now is start to look at the reflections on the wet sand. And this is something that I picked up from Mark Waller. I never did it until I watched his video. So we're more or less looking for a brush. And what we're going to do is pour it in the white a little bit. You don't want much on there. A little bit of white water. And we're going to drag down some reflections. And to start with, it doesn't look like, you think, well, what are you doing, Sharon? What are you doing? But in his mind, it's the reflection of the sky that's in here, and you want to be very random with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to where you see where your white's going to be is you're going to just drag down with an almost dry brush. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but you want to stop before it hits the other one, and you want to be random. And it only wants to be where the foam is going to be, because that's going to help show you the reflection of where the white foam is in the ocean. But it's something that you only really see the benefits of when we get to a few stages down. So I recommend you go and watch his video if you've not seen it before. And he'll explain a little bit more of what you're doing and why. I just followed him as a keen student, and it definitely, oh, put a little bit in my ocean there, I'll be able to tone that down. Definitely did add value into my other painting. And we do come back and revisit this a little bit later, and then we drag it down this way as well. So it'll give you the reflection of the sky, the clouds, any of the foam. So we drag it down one way, and then we're going to brush it out another way. So when it's more or less dry, you'll brush it out that way. So they'll still be there in their impressions of it, and you'll start to really appreciate. It's like those little speckles of the sky hitting. Oh, you didn't catch the name who I was talking about. What name did I say? I said it is Mark Waller, but his channel name is Explore Acrylics or Exploring Acrylics. He's definitely somebody I'd recommend that you visit and have a little look. So what we're going to do now is reflect our sky into the ocean. So we're going to start to create some of the flatness with our sea or ocean. So I'm just cleaning my brush out and I'm going to try to create a very similar colour to my sky again, this one here. And we're going to very gently bring that into our ocean. So I'm definitely going to use a brush that's like this now to help me with that detail and that swiping across. So for me, I used a little bit of my cyan and I used a little bit white and I used a little bit of the ultramarine. And that's what we're going to do. I don't want the phthalo blue. I want the ultramarine. Sorry, behind the scenes, I am just working this out. Yeah, definitely get you to check that gentleman out. And also, Katie, I can't remember her name. Katie Jobling. I'd recommend you visit her channel as well. She is an amazing artist that also does some other tutorials, and she's the one that taught me about the haze in the ocean, or should I say the skyline, with a little bit of red. So it's definitely something I would recommend you viewing as well. So I'm going to I'm going to get the excess off my brush, give that a clean, and then we're going to start to bring this in. So I got my, what did I do with my brush? I got it out. Sharon, where did you put your brush? Where did you put your brush? I had it in my hands and I showed you, and now I've put it at the side here. There we go. So I mixed a tiny little bit of the sky colour, and I'm going to use my brush here, and this is where we're just going to add a little bit of reflection into our sea, and it also flattens your ocean. So you don't want to overdo it in this way, but it does give you, again, the impression of the sky reflecting into the ocean and the waves. But you want to do it from the back of the waves onwards. So what I mean by this is, and it doesn't have to fill the whole area, but what you should see is this particular band of ocean should flatten. If you don't put it there, it means that you're going to have the waves are going to be more prominent, whereas now what it should do is show that that's the whole lot of that water moving forward. I'm sorry that my hand was in the way there. Now, it also adds to the sense of movement to your water. So do as much as you are happy with, but if it comes from the back of where your foam's going to be and moves over, you should see that blend into the whole sort of volume of water that's moving forward in that wave. I don't know if I've articulated myself very well, but that should now look like that area is flat with the water behind it, as opposed to it being raised like a big churning. What? My articulation. Do you know, it's so very hard to get out of my head what I'm thinking to share some of my knowledge and understanding. Whoo! It's like patting my head and rubbing my tummy. So you're going to continue bringing that sky colour through and just work it backwards a little bit. Try not to overwork it, but leave enough there. And again, I think it just turns a good painting into a great painting, or at least an interesting painting. And it just adds to that, I don't know, glistening on the ocean from that sky, sun, whatever you want to call it, hitting those waves or those clouds. But we come back and we do a little bit more in this space. So I'm happy that probably is what I want to do and where I want to do it. And when you do it, you start to create a little bit of swell in some areas. And that's good because that also adds to the fact it's not a calm ocean, but it's working and it's churning and it's more organic. So I'll bring it in closer just so you can see what I mean, and we can add more detail in that area there, but I don't know if you can see it now. You should see an illusion of sky reflecting into the ocean, and hopefully a sense of a slight choppiness to the ocean, but also it should be raising this mass of this ocean to look like it's all the same volume that's rushing in. Let me know if I'm articulating myself very well. And we're going to do the same for the one further in. Even though it's a different colour that we're working on, it is still one that we want to try to give that sense of movement coming behind it, and it's definitely the sky that is going to be reflecting in there as well. You don't want to take it too far back to the other wave behind you, so you do want to have some control in place. But we're again flattening this wave that's coming in, so it's just the volume of all that water rushing in. And hopefully we're getting a glistening, alive ocean. Coming from the back of that wave there. Oh, if only I could have Paula reading out chat for me so I knew what was happening. Just give me a thumbs up if you are finding that this video is adding value and that you are enjoying seeing this kind of thing. Even if you're not painting along with me, you can see the reality of how long it takes and how you build it up over time. Alright, I'm just adding a little bit of water to my mix because it's going a little bit dry. So just adding a few more highlights. I stood back and I could see that I'd not quite got the look I was going for, so the method of standing back is helping. And remember, give it a go if you've not done it before, because all you are doing is giving your muscle memory. You need to learn just a few tricks. Once you've learned a few tricks, you'll be confident and you'll have a go. And all we're trying to do is give your brain an illusion of something, and your brain will fill in the gaps to create, to bring it all together with what you're trying to do. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's the second plane of water now coming in. So we've flattened this area behind the wave. So again, it's that volume of water rushing forward, and then we'll be able to make this look curved soon. And we're now going to add a little bit more of that reflection through to this front area here. Again, making sure it doesn't go too far back. But we got a thumbs up, so Alison's appreciating it. Sandy's appreciating it. Oh, you know what? Keep practicing. That's all I would say. Practice, practice, practice. The turtle one's a good one, I'm sure. Paula or Sandy has explained. It's a matter of just really following shapes, following feelings and breaking it down and following principles. Before you know it, you can draw things. Just put a piece of paper over it and draw a shape. And don't think about what you're drawing, and before you know it, an image will be there, and you'll just keep improving on it. So just adding a little bit of that water through to the front again to give some life to our ocean, and also to make it look like that sky and the clouds are rippling onto this front area here. Trying not to overwork it too much, but bringing that cloud area in. And we are going to then move on to some exciting things, which is creating the lines underneath. If it's a bit too harsh, you can rub it off. Got a little bit too light there. And I'm going to stand back soon and see what we're doing with this. And then we'll be moving on to the next stage. And you can do this multiple times. Just keep revisiting it. Alright, so that has flattened that water area. Oh, I'm having trouble with my foot. Alright, so what we're going to do now is add shadows under the waves. So what we're going to do with that is at the steepest points of the waves, we're going to start to add a little bit of texture there. So I'm just going to wash off my paintbrush and we're going to start to do that. Hello. Oh, now let me have a look what's going on in chat before we do the next thing. So welcome to everybody that's here, whether you stay with me for 5 minutes or the whole way. I am so happy and so grateful for you to be here. If I have not seen you in chat or responded to any of your comments, please, please, please be aware that I do read my comments and I go back and I will make sure that... Oh, you found my emojis. She's found the emojis. Yes, she's going to be emoji crazy now. Are you understanding what I'm saying, are you? Is it because I talk weird or is it just because you understand the concept of what I'm talking about now? Alright, so what we're going to do now is to work with the light yellow, a little bit of ultramarine. So it's like the sand colour. And what we're going to do is start to add in some highlights through to our waves. And then we'll start to create some low lights for the shadows underneath. And hopefully that'll start to make it more emotions or movement in the water. And then we're going to come in with some dark areas to shade just under the wave area. And then it's just a matter of then adding our foam and start to really bring that to life. And then we can tweak anything that we're unhappy with and we can start to have fun. Is it because I'm weird? Alright, so let me have a little look here. So we want flashes of colour in the waves to show the movement deep at the steepest point. So I'm going to add my light yellow because we're going into our water, and if we remember, light yellow goes into the water, medium yellow goes out of the water, so that's my light there. I still have a little bit of the ultramarine. I'm going to add a little bit more because it's acrylic and it dries out. This is the joys of working with oils, is it doesn't matter, whereas acrylics you're working against the time. And we're also going to look at some white under here. So this is where I'm going to need a delicate brush for now. So let me have a look what delicate ones I've got, because we're going to paint in some tiny little areas in our waves. So I'm just looking for a brush I can control in that way. I've got very thin brushes or very thick brushes, and I don't have one that's in between. So I'm going to go for this one, which is a 0, but it's just a flat one. But I am just going to work it until I get to it, because I'm really wanting some light green. That's really yellow, isn't it? A little bit more. Go for a little bit more blue in there. Sorry, you're not seeing what I'm doing, are you? I'm not in camera angle. Ah! I keep going until I get a colour that I really like. Now you can buy some greens that are gonna work beautifully with this anyway, but I'm just trying to push myself to mix my own colours and see how we go. But if we're unhappy, we just keep going until we're happy. Bear with me. Let's see what we can do in this space. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit on my brush and see if is that going to be too light? Yeah, that's too light. So bear with me while I get my right green that I want. Yeah, that's more like it. So I'm using the, what's my colour I'm using? I've got a little bit of my cyan. I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't like that. So I've got a tiny little bit of the cyan, which is this one here. Woo! Little bit of cyan. No, we're not cyan, but cyan. It's got that nice little blue in there. I'm going to add a tiny little bit of yellow. Oh, it's gone really bright green this time, hasn't it? I'm going to keep going. All right, so we're getting more of the colour that I want. That's going to show you where that transparent area, because as your wave is curving around and it gets quite thin, you're going to have flashes of that really nice green coming through. Is what we're going for. So I'm going to try again. And if we're not happy with it, we can always tweak the colours. So because this has got no foam coming here, it's going to have a shadow under here, and then it's going to be light here. That's where I'm going for, and I'm just going to work backwards and forwards until I am happy with the colour. And I'm going to do it quite random. Again, reason being it's going to blend in and you're going to get a feeling that the water is moving. So I'm going to show you now what I've just done. So hopefully that's getting you a feeling that that part there is a little bit clear, but you can see the wave. So that's what we're going to be doing now. We're just going to create a few of those tones coming through. So we're going to do the lighter tones, then we'll come through and do the darker tones. We'll do the shadowing, and then we'll start bringing the waves of light. So there's a little gap here where my foam's not going to be, so I'm going to do a little bit more there. I'll take that up to the top actually. Is that making sense what I've just said there? Because I do waffle on sometimes. I'm not necessarily a natural teacher when it comes to acrylics. This is normally where I just do it myself, and again, just going to the top here. Makes sense. Brilliant, Johnny. Thank you. I'm just randomly going to put a few. Oops, a bit too much there. Rub it out with my finger. And you can always strip it back if you're unhappy. Depends where your wave's going to be. We do want darker areas under where it's curling over. I might have to take some of that out. There's a lot of. Just makes it look beautiful. Beautiful. Now this area here, because it is shallower, I am going to add more of this in this area here, just so it looks like that ocean is moving, and there might be bits of it that's sort of crashing and raising up. I'm doing a lot, so I'm just doing that there to make this part look organic and moving. Not having really a stagnant ocean there, and that's what I love. A little bit dry, adding a little bit of water to it, bring it back alive. And I don't know if you are starting to see that coming alive. I'll let you have your opinion on that, but that's hopefully giving you that sense of movement. You don't want to over commit, but at the same time you don't want to miss this opportunity to have this ocean glistening. Just look like it's a bit of foam there. Sometimes the accidental, happy little accidents that Bob Ross says turn out to give you some of the best brush strokes. All right, we're going to work on a few low lights now. Actually, might take this down a little bit more here. And a little bit more this side here. And if my voice is going closer and more distance, it's because I walk away and I stand back and I have a little look. And to some people that might be very frustrating because you're hearing my voice come in and out at different angles. Oh, I can do definitely Zoom classes. So I'll let you all talk about the membership that we have there. All right, let me have a little look. I'm just going back through my steps. So I'm going to add shadows now. So what I'm going to try and do is get a deeper green. Bear with me while I just trying to get my colour right. I'm mixing it. Oh, that's not the colour we're looking for, Sharon. I'm going for my blue. So this is where I'm going to come in now and do a few low lights. All right, just before it curves up, we are going to get a line coming through there where it is about to curve over. And I'm just coming under where I'm going to put my foam so that it looks like shadows. I've just got a little bit on my brush, trying not to overcommit, but it definitely adds value when you get through, when the waves start to come more alive. So I'm taking that, oh, went a bit light there, want it dark, not light. So just slowly going under where my waves are going to crash, and just at the side there, just for that shadow. Thinking of the shadows. Okay, a little bit more of that. I am going to come under with some burnt umber and make this part darker, but I just want to cast a shadow, whereas the other one's going to be a little bit more intense. I know what I'm talking about. And then we need to do the same here. Just where the wave's about to crash or fold over. I know I'm not talking as much while I'm doing this, I apologise. I hope that you are all entertaining each other. Building up the waves. All right. So I'm going to get umber now. So a little bit of umber, and that's going to be the base of the waves. It's going to be subtle, but it's not going to be too far away. It's going to be more for this area here. So I need a very fine brush. It looks really weird to start with, It really does. But you're only going to have tiny little bits of it showing, but it does make all the difference. It really does make all the difference. How are we going, people? Are you still happy to continue watching? We can always come back and do another session tomorrow. I'm all right to continue. I just don't want to bore you all to death. Bad choice of words, but you know what I mean. I've got a little bit of burnt umber. I've got a tiny little bit of burnt umber on my stick. You're all right to continue? Still watching? All right. So a tiny little bit of burnt umber. And burnt umber is a very dry paint. Sounds weird to say that, but it is. And we are coming through. I'm gonna just add a very thin line of burnt umber just to create those shadows. And you should start to see, even though it's weird looking, you should start to see some things start to become 3D, but almost cartoon-like to start with. I hope that makes sense. But then when we add the wave over it, or the froth over it, oh, I've just realised I've done that in the wrong place. Ah. I didn't mean to do that one there. I'm going to have to dry that out. I've got carried away. I've put that in the wrong place. But that's alright. We can rectify this. She says. Let me just going to add some water to just dilute it and try and correct it, because I'm not really going to have much there other than foam. I was concentrating too much on the colours, and I'm thinking that's flat there, Sharon, that shouldn't have much depth there, but I might work with it and see if that's going to add a little bit of value. I might just have tiny little bits where there's little bit of, so I'm going to add a little bit here now just to try and balance it out, and I might just have a little bit of foam there or something. But that's not what I was meant to be doing. Right, this is where I was meant to be doing it. Live TV, live accidents. So this is one where it really adds so much value to it. You just got to trust that the process will work and that it's going to be worth you doing it. Just add a little bit of white to my burnt umber to try and make it move a little bit easier. Alright, you only wanted thin. I'd give anything to have some music playing now. Some poppy music. I've got really into Dua Lipa. I know she's been around for a bit, but I've only just jumped on the bandwagon with her. I really enjoy her music. Makes me happy. Can be in the car coming home from work playing it, I'm like, yep. I'm dancing and singing as though I'm a pop star. Right, it's only really at the front we need this part here, so I'm imagining in my mind that there's going to be a little bit of a bouncy wave here. I think there's going to be one here, so I think that they are breaking in this way. Two there. Maybe some this way. This is where I'm going to put some foamy bits there. Looks like I need one here. Sorry, that was me just standing back, breathing into the camera there. I think that is going to be what I want there. We're now going to work on our whitewash, and this is the fun. So the whitewash is going to be made up of 3 different grades of blue. So to start with, we're going to have white with a tiny little bit of blue in there. And then we're going to slowly get white until the very last one is going to be pure white. So I still have some. And the reason we do that is to try and layer it up to give you the impression of the movement of waves, because no wave foam is going to be pure white. You're going to have shadows, you're going to have it at different, I don't know, different colours coming through. So this is how you make your waves really look like. In my opinion, there's movement, there's character. So you're going to have white, the tiniest little bit of blue in there. That's probably a bit too much. And it might seem strange to start with, but believe me. And because white is transparent, when it dries and you add the next layer, it's adding more depth to it. So we're just going to go back now and we're going to have some fun, and hopefully this is where the ocean is really going to come alive. Now this part does need to be straight. So again, we're going to start to add a little bit and just move it around, circular motions, and yeah, just have some fun. Just make sure that the top area is fairly level. And what we will do is do some little spray offs and stuff like that. But you just don't want a solid colour. I'm going to bring it, and it might not all be at the same level. This part here is, and what I'm going to do here is just have a tiny little bit of water going across the top there, because this is all one thing, but it's not quite joining. The sun's catching the top of it, but that part's not breaking, this part is. So I don't know if you can see there already, you're starting to get, I think, more of that churning motion coming. I don't know if you can see that. Let me know if you can tell a difference with what I've just done to that side versus that side. Alright, alrighty. We're coming to the same side, well, the same wave, but a different side now. And again, a little bit circular motions, just so it catch the brush with the canvas, and hopefully you are enjoying that. How are you all doing? I hope you're okay. Looking good? Wonderful. You're still with me? You've not all fallen asleep with the longest Sharon live ever. Keep standing back, checking that my composition I'm happy with. Hopefully you're starting to see the benefit of those shadows that I put in there. Maybe not. Hopefully you are. this one is now coming this way. Okay, very happy with that one. Bring you in. And now this one, we've got a few little ones here. So again, we're still using the white with a little bit of blue in there. And we will slowly line that up. But where I put the brown here, I am just putting the white over it a little bit and maybe adding a little bit of foam where it's churning at the front. And then we're going to do some wash coming off the waves. And then we'll come back and we'll increase the white and bring the waves alive a little bit more. Still working on the blue and white. Blue and white, yeah, blue and white, Sharon, you're right. Covering most of that brown up. But there's just enough under there, and I'll show you what I've done. I will bring you in closer, so hopefully you can see how just that tiny little bit of brown showing through underneath is adding to that feeling of it being slightly raised, and yeah, I'm liking that. Just got to mix up some more white and blue for those that chunky wave at the front. Right, really now going to froth this one up. Oh, look like that's really rumbling in. Let's get ready to rumble. This is the part that I really enjoy. When all that hard work that you've done before trying to get everything right, in my opinion, starts to bring it all together, and you can understand why it's important that you do some of these layers that you do, so that when you do come back 5 steps later, and again I'm just swirling my brush in a circular motion, because then as it touches the canvas it might look like some of that foam's flicking up in the air, and you get some bolder bits of paint on there, and you get some that's light, so it all adds to that contrast. I'm just going to go this way, and then I'm going to pull a few little caps of, is it ocean caps? No, birds, no, what's it called when you get that little bit of foam that's, so just going around a bit more on top of it now, circular motion, just so it looks like some of that foam is horses, is that what they call it? It's flicking up in the air. So I'll show you, not a lover of that, just bring in that, make it look like it's creeping, and you start to see that now. Hopefully you're seeing that front edge look like it's really creeping in. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my stick, same colour, a little bit of the blue and white, and I'm just going to drag it along. White caps, that's the one. White caps. Alright, so I think some of this is going to have come through this way onto that part that's wet, and you can see the clouds. Not a lot, just a little bit. See just that little bit of line there where the ocean is. And then I'm going to do a little bit more at this part here. Not a lot, because there's not a lot of water that's got to the front there, but just where you can sometimes see little bits of foam where that water once was, when it's rushed in and it's just leaving and gone back out. I'm just going to get my bluey white and just sort of let it touch the canvas. Oh, ooh, very delicately. Not like that, Sharon. Okay, that just looks like the cloud reflection, so that's not so bad. Happy little accident, in the word of Bob Ross. Let me just rub that in. Alright, yeah. Alright, I think we got away with that one. It looks like a cloud. Work with it, don't work against it, is what I say. And even though I think I'm being delicate with my brush, sometimes I can just do crazy little things like that. I'm a rebel, what can I say? Alright, I am still just chatting away to myself here. I hope you're with me. I could be looking at my camera soon and see that most people have left me. Boo, 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 boo. Just add a little bit of maybe the spray that's on the sand there. I'll stand back and have a little look at that. Okay, I'm happy with this so far. What we might do is, I'm going to come back now with, in fact I feel like I want to grab a little bit more white, and just right at the end, just going to grab a few little pieces and maybe have a few little stronger little bits of white representation there. It's all about just getting it so it kisses your canvas. Alright, I like that. So we're now going to we're going to go back over that white foam again now, and we're going to increase the whiteness. So I'm going to add more white to what was the blue and white, so there'll be a tiniest little bit of trace of blue in there. And we're going to do all that again. And we're going to start to make these lighter. Leaving gaps so it's not solid. So it maybe looks like there is, and now flicking a few bits so it looks like it's spray coming off in the wind. In my mind, that's what's happening in my beach at the minute. Just making sure though that it is flat. And you can check if you're happy with the amount of foam that's coming down. You might want to have more. I'm just going to bring this to be slightly bigger. So I don't know if you noticed it again, but if you look at that side now compared to that, you've now got even more movement and depth in there, but it is not one colour. It's lots of different colour. And when you look close up, it's pretty crap, really. But from a distance, the eye fills it out. Alright, I am just going to add a few little bits there, not a lot. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Trying not to make it all solid. And then next time round we're actually going to come out with pure white. And then that should lift it again. And then tomorrow you could look at doing it again if you felt that it needed it. And so hopefully that back one is now looking like a nice wave rolling into your beach. Same again, same colour, white with the tiniest little bit of blue, and start to beef up these waves. Alison, I hope you're enjoying this and I hope it's giving you ideas. And I hope you're enjoying real time seeing what goes into some of these paintings. My oil ones can take months or weeks depending on how long, mainly because you've got to wait for it to dry, but the blending you can get with oils is far, in my opinion, my preference, far superior than you can with oils, with acrylics. But I am enjoying learning with acrylics how you can get instant gratification, because you don't have to wait like you do with oils. Just trying to check if I'm happy with that one rumbling in. Yes. Just going to add a few little white horses here. And then we'll come in and we'll do a few tiny little dots, and I'll show you what I mean by dots. That can look like specks of water that's throwing up in the air. If you want a good picture, it's got to be worth the time it takes to do all these layers. You can definitely do some paintings in one go, like one attempt, but I don't think you're ever going to take it to the level where you get to see the 3D-ness. I hope I'm speaking properly there. So what I'm going to do here on this one, not the back one here, I'm going to do a few tiny little bits of foam that's running off behind the waves where it's running in. So just a few zigzaggy sort of run off, because this water's all level with it at the back there. Oh, I mean to do that. Just so it looks like the wash that's coming off that wave as it's going in there. Just a little bit of that foamy. I think we'd see a little bit more here as well. Not a lot. Restraint is important at this stage, so just sort of shaking my brush a little bit so it's not even, but just letting it kiss it and just making it look like it's the little bit of backwash. I think that's it. And then we're going to concentrate on that front wave and maybe do a little bit more of the zigzags and that, but I will need a tiny little brush for that. So I'm running out of paint. Add some more to it. It's that tiniest of little blue in there. And I'm going to come in with this part first. Around in circular motions, just let your brush and the canvas kiss so it drags it off your brush. If you can do that more than anything, that's when you get some nice sort of beautiful effects. I'm going to do these back ones here. There. A bit more there. That part's look like that's really spraying up there. That part's really spraying up there in my imagination. I feel like I want this part here to be spraying up also, where it's crashed together a little bit. Focus on these here. Because there's a lot of waves at the front, I'm not going to have to put too much detail in. I just want it to look like where that wave rolled in, it's just created that emotion at the front there. And then we're going to do it all one more time with just pure white. And hopefully that will have dried at the top by the time we're coming round. And then we'll do our tiny little dots, and then this piece is done for now. I could come back and work on the sky again and strengthen those clouds, which I might just do while we've got the white here, if you're alright to stick with me. And so this is where we are now with the front waves. Let me have a little look what's been going on with chat. Hey Sharon, love size of the waves on this. one giving the painting more emotion. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've tried to space these ones out a little bit more, Juliet. And I think it is you can see the other one there. It was, yeah, they were a lot smaller and closer together, whereas here you can see a little bit more happening. And you could really bring it closer. Like I think I'm going to do one where you just see this massive wave crashing in at some stage. I'm going to keep evolving, but I do like the simplicity of these, especially if you love the ocean. So I'm just squirting out some more white. My Neil's not come and given me a cup of tea yet, has he? Isn't he mean? I'm so thirsty. I'd say all this talking, but I'm not really talking, am I? I'm just digressing. Oh, Cosmic Carol, I'm really glad that you're enjoying this. I know, I need to slack him. Let me just give him a shout. Neil? Neil? Any chance you come in a cup of tea? Sorry, I'm still doing a live and I'm so thirsty, I'm getting croaky. Sorry to be cheeky. Thank you. Yes, he's making me one now. Alright, so what I might do is we're pure white now. We've got pure white on our paintbrush and we're going to do this again. So hopefully I'll do it on this side and then hopefully you can see a difference here. And again, you're just going to try and keep squishing it around in circles. You don't want it to be solid, but hopefully it brings your ocean alive even more. It's like you're trying to tickle it. Come here, ocean, let me tickle you. Tickle your foam. And then we're going to do a few tiny little bits here where it's catching at the top. And then I'm going to basically, I've wiped most of my paint off there. I'm just going to do a few little flicks up where it could look like that you've got spray catching in the wind. I don't want to do too much of it. Rub it out if you think you've overcommitted. You could even do a little dot, and again use it very sparingly where maybe the water's flicked up, and that can add a little bit of movement in there as well. But again, you don't want to do too much spare. You just, little is better. I don't know if you can see what I've just done there. A little bit of that foam and a little bit of the dots. All right, we're repeating it on the other end. This is a massive live. I'm so sorry it takes this long. I mean, I could look at doing these over a couple of sessions where we can do a let's paint together. But hopefully some people will find value at it and hopefully people will be kind. I want to do a little bit there. And I'm going to do a few little dots here, not a lot. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off and try and do a few, oh, a little bit too much, a few flicks. Where the spray's caught it. Yeah, that's just a bit too much there. So I'm just going to get some water on my brush and just dilute that out while I can. You can always just paint a little bit more blue on there if you make a mess, just like what I've done there. Alright, we got rid of that, that'll do. Alright, and I don't know if you can see the difference with that very last wave now. And pure white on the rest of it. We'll come back and do a little bit of clouds. And then I'll be able to see what everybody's been talking about. I will read back over chat, I really will. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I get to see what you cheeky people have been up to if you've been having jokes. And I hope that you've all been supporting each other and chatting to each other. while I've just been painting away. Alright, very happy with that. Just going to do a little bit there, a little bit there. We'll do a little bit of spray there, not a lot. We don't want it to be too symmetrical. Alright, bring in again so you can see that. Johnny, I'm so happy that you're enjoying this. And then our front part here. Again, swirling it and mixing it. I want to know if anybody's going to go and give this a go now, or if you've learned anything that you're going to try in your own art. I would love to know that. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to come back and read that soon. Oh, hello, my Neil. Thank you. I'm so thirsty. What do you think?
Very nice. You done both of them tonight, or?
No, I've only been working on one. That was from ages. Taking it easy. You. Oh, did you hear that? He said I'm taking it easy because I've only done this in the time we've been there. Cheeky boy. I can't swear. Cheeky boy. Cheeky man. I was going to swear then, but I didn't because I don't have inappropriate language on my show. Hello, Zeus. How are you? That's Zeus panting away. That's not Neil. Sorry, I'm just checking where the foam is versus the shadows and making sure that all makes sense to me. I've lost a lot of the brown, but you only need a little bit to pop out for it to make a difference. And I've just got to do these tiny little bits here. And hopefully that's added a little bit of, say, movement to the water anyway. Gosh, it'd be time to go to bed for me now. I'm sure it's all time for you as well. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Now you can, I'm just going to do a few little, just going to drag my, I didn't mean to do it that much. Let me check if that, it still works. Thin little brush. So I'm now going to go back to my clouds and hopefully I'm not going to mess those up. I just want to highlight the top part a little bit more. Just want a little bit of it to be the top part. To give those a little bit more depth. A little bit of juice in there. Just so they look like they've got a few little peaks in there. And I've just got to work on this front area here a little bit and then we're done. And then we can revisit it tomorrow with fresh eyes is what I recommend, to see if you feel that you need to do anything else to make it more alive. So I don't know if you can see what I just did then with my clouds. I just put a tiny little bit of white on the very top part, hopefully giving that a little bit more illusion of like depth and height. So I'm just going to work on this part here. I'm going to leave that part mainly, but just a little bit here. I could have just left it as it is, but it's just something there that's bugging me. All right. I think it's done. Just going to have a little bit more flick with my white. To draw this part a little bit more. Okay. She says, I keep standing back and thinking, right, I just want to fix this. You just have to look what bugs you, and then you think, well, what is it that's bugging me, and try and work on it. And if I end up that I still don't like this bit, I can change that tomorrow. But I feel like overall it's not a bad piece. Alright, so what do you think? What do you think to the finished piece? One sitting, a lot of work. If you look close, there are some gaps in the acrylic paint at the top, so I could go back and I could rework that. But sometimes I think that it's quite nice being quite rustic. And the less perfect it is, I think the more it looks real. So, yeah. I'm going to see what's happening in chat now, because I really have missed you all. I'm going to flick you around. 25 people stuck with me. I'm really glad about that. And if you do want to see more of these, let me know and we can build them in, and maybe we can do them in little sessions together, and maybe we can build it up over time. But I'm just going to check chat out now, and I hope that you're okay. And it took a lot of courage to do this live. I do have to say, it took a lot of courage to do this live. I even got myself some little notes so I remembered what I was doing. So don't be afraid to do that. If you find something that inspires you, or find something that you want to try and you can't always remember it and you don't want to paint along, well, you do want to paint along, write the notes down of the steps that they do and just refer to it. But remember, it is your painting. You want to put your personality in there. You want to put things in there that makes you happy. And it doesn't have to be picture perfect. Otherwise, you may as well take a picture and stick it up, which we don't want to do that. But I'm proud of that for a live with you all. And I think it's a slight improvement on this one. Can I do it right? Number 1, number 2. I think we've got more power in the ocean in this one. But I'm going to have a little look at your comments while I have a cup of tea and see what you've all been up to. Is there any questions that you want to ask me about this before I glance back over chat or anything like that? I would love your thoughts on it. I don't know what 49 is. What we're doing, Alison. I'm glad you've been enjoying it, Christina. Oh, you were by yourself and it was relaxing. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I hope you got to see how it built up and that it's inspired you to give it a go yourself. With acrylics, don't stress if you do it in the wrong order. Most of the time, what you want to do, if you only just painted it off, wipe off the excess, then put your paintbrush in water and then go over it, and it'll dilute the colour for you, almost removing it if you do it before it dries. But you can always paint over it again. Don't stress. It's giving it a go. The hardest thing is putting paintbrush on canvas. Once you've done it, that's the hardest part out of the way, because you've started. You can always tweak it. You can always add another level. You can always change it. but just have fun and you'll be surprised. 49 likes, is that it? You love the gaps. Sharon, we all have something to ask you. Oh, go for it. Hello, Danilo? Maxie, finally a time for a live. Maxie, I hope you... I'm so sorry, I've been on here for nearly 2 hours, but I'm going off now. But what we did create is this today. So if you're interested, pop back and have a little look how we brought this to life. And let me know your thoughts on it, unless you were here the whole way through. So what type of finish would you use on a canvas with acrylic? What would you recommend? Wow, I just get the spray on varnish that you can put on specifically for acrylics. I have painted on myself. You know, with acrylics as well, you could add resin because it'd bring it back alive. I would never put resin on oils because oils have such a beautiful shine to them anyway, so you just want to put a proper gloss for oils on there. But you can paint them on gloss, acrylic glosses, or you can spray it on. Spraying gives it more even finish because you just want to protect it, or you want something that's going to help the colours stay as they are and pop. But these colours stay quite bright and everything like that. But you can resin. I wouldn't resin on one of these boards though, unless you're going to stick it to something, because the resin can make this warp as it dries with heat. Is that a spider? No, it's a fly thing. I don't know if I articulated that well for you, but so we want to do a Zoom drawing class with you. Oh, okay, I'm up for that. What kind of Zoom drawing class do you want me to do? Yes, we would be interested in seeing how we all got on with it. That's all right. What kind of things are you talking about? Me giving you Sharon's wisdom, or me drawing something with you step by step and then you doing it and showing me? Let me know. I'm definitely up for that. You set a subject and we all get the same. Yeah, I can do that, absolutely. We might have to start increasing it from a monthly Zoom. Drawing with me, that would be great. Yeah, you want to create for you. Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Believe it or not, in Australia, I used to have a weekly, I used to have a big space there, so I used to have a weekly art club where people would just come around and we'd do our own little art projects, but we'd encourage each other, or we'd share wisdom, or we'd, just the routine of meeting removes your excuses so that you have to learn and share, and it can be fun. So yeah, I'm up with that. I suppose we need to start little art projects and let you know in advance what we're going to be working on. Charcoal's a beautiful one. I love charcoal. But yeah, I think we can do. I think what we need to do is maybe start with how to create something 3D. And I think our first session will be on a hand. So before we meet, your homework is in pencil or charcoal, whichever one you've got. I want you to draw your hand, and then the goal is by the time we've done a couple of sessions together and you draw another hand, you should be able to see a difference. What do you think to that? It might sound boring for you, but it's a real practical one for you. Yeah, all right, that sounds like good. I think we need to get maybe we need to have a little email group for people that want to be in it, so we can share that around. Yeah. Hello, Daniel. Hopefully we'll see my artwork too, even I'm a beginner. So do you have your own channel? If you do have your own art channel, put a love art at the side of your name so that we know that you've got your own art channel, and somebody might go over there and share the love and pay attention. So put a heart at the end of your name, and then people will go over and visit you. Do you know what? Charcoal is meant to be dirty. I love charcoal. And I've even got myself a drawing set to get my skills back up again. So I want to really do a deer. Is it a deer? Yeah. Yeah, it is a deer with the horns. That's what I want to do. I want to draw one of those. I've been fascinated them by a while, and I figure if I draw one of those now, I'll get used to it. We can then start to make some Christmas cards and start preparing for Christmas already. You're going to text me later to explain. Brilliant. That's okay. You missed a lot. Do you want me to show you what we created though, Patricia? That's what we ended up creating. What do you think? Oh, I'm glad you love the results then. I want to do the beach. You can do the beach, Johnny. I believe in you all. Fear is what's stopping you. Don't forget, I've been practicing for a little while now when it comes to art with this kind of stuff, and the hardest thing is you stopping yourself doing it. You paint with emotions, paint with blocks. There's a few practical stuff you can do, and you'll be surprised at what you can do if you follow some steps and then revisit it. You've got to give it a try. You've got to, and remember, the more rustic it is, the better it is. The main thing is just controlling your brush. If you learn to just let your brush kiss the canvas when it comes to your wave and your froth, you're going to get much better results, in my opinion. You've got to talk yourself into it. I'm glad you love it, Mama. Yeah, you've got to try it. Am I self-taught or trained? I am self-taught. I was very, I had a very good dad with art, and at a very young age he showed me how to create houses where most kids would have just done a square with the 4 windows and a door. My dad taught me at a very young age 3D, and I was naturally gifted at school. My art got to put into some of the brochures and everything like that, but then I didn't do it for 20 years? 20 years? Would it have been 20 years? No, about 30 years. I don't know how long. Thank you so much, Danilo. That's, I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Danilo Arts? Really appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, I didn't touch it for many years. When I was getting, my relationship was coming to an end and my son became a teenager and he didn't want to hang out with me. I had all this time. So I picked up some paints and painted, and it was pretty naff, but I enjoyed it because it quietened the mind, and that's why I paint, to quieten the mind and just to relax. And then my skills came pretty quickly again, but I've still been painting since, what was it, 2016? Is when I revisited again, and just by displaying your art around you, practicing and trying. See, I like to continuously evolve because I never become a matter expert, but I'm always learning, and that's what I love about art. But thank you so much. What's the worst that can happen? You just paint another layer. Exactly. I'm glad you get lost in your art. Self-doubt is annoying, but if you're the only one that can see your art to start with, what does it matter? And I think the hardest thing is a blank canvas, or I want to be able to do that. Not many people can do it straight away. You've got to be willing to fail, and by failing you're learning. So every time you are trying something, even if it doesn't work that first time, you've learned something and you've grown as an artist, and then you take that lesson into your next piece. And that's what it was like for me. It was just about every time I do something I learn, and I try and carry it over into the next piece, and that's what I constantly do, and I'm constantly evolving because that's what I do. And that's why I say I'm never a matter expert. I'm not the best artist out there. I'm not classically trained. I just do it because I love it and I enjoy it, and I can see improvement. So do it for yourself. Sod what other people think. Sorry, I swore then. Yes, I'm at work tomorrow and I'm doing closes all week. So, there'll be no live for the next 3 days because I need to catch up on projects and edit and get them on. But I may start to do a regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday lives. And I'll love your thoughts on that. And then it will give me time to do art classes and everything like that. The art classes though will be for members only. I'm afraid I have to give something unique to my members. And if you don't know, I offer membership. Have a little look. If not, there is still plenty of work on videos that you can learn from, hopefully, and there are plenty of other people out that can do that as well. So if you have time, yeah, I can definitely ring you. I can definitely ring you. Anyway, I'm going to see if you've got any more questions for me before I start to hit the hay. And I just want to say a sincere thank you. I absolutely love, one, my members, but two, the supporters that have been coming in here and leaving comments and sharing their stories with everybody and encouraging other people. So every person that watches, gives me a thumbs up, subscribes, or leaves a comment is helping my channel, and that's your way of thanking me and helping me continue to share with you and put my channel out there, because I'm not under any affiliation with anybody. I am not sponsored by anybody. Everything I do is out of my own pocket so that I can share with you. Yes, I do sell my art, and I sell it internationally, but it's something I'm really bad at doing. I've got lots of crap in a room that's filling up that I need to put on Etsy. So if ever you see any of my work that you want, you just need to let me know. And I sell it mainly privately, but I've got to get better at Etsy. But yeah. So Nuke, you don't remember then. Computer Man, thank you. Yeah, I think Dawn, you were with us, weren't you, Dawn? You were with us at the chat. Anyway, I am going to love you and leave you because I'm going a little bit. I've got to drink my tea that I got Neil to do for me. Oh, Dawn, did you see what we did? That's what we ended up doing. So Cosmic Carol, thank you. Dawn, thank you. Johnny, thank you. Thank you, Rennie. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. I think I've said Danny, Sherilyn. I'm just looking at the names here. Juliet. All the people that have watched this, whether it's 5 minutes or the full way, thank you so much. Every single member, thank you so much. Every single person who subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. And it's been great. So hopefully we'll get some positive comments, and let me know if you want to see more of this style live, if you find value in that and if it helps you. And if it does, what we might have to do is do it over a few different sessions, just so it's not taking up so much of your time. But thank you, Paula. Thank you so much for helping with the conversation and keeping the guests entertained. I'm sure all the other people would have also been entertaining each other. It's a beautiful community. But on your way out, if you haven't already, a thumbs up would be really, really, really appreciated. Thank you so much. Bye.